I'm Sarah. I'm the teacher of this class. If you haven't met me, welcome. This will be beginner friendly. If I talk too fast, which I have a tendency to do, just wave at me and show me slow down, and I'll slow it down. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or just speak to me like you're adults, which you are. You don't have to raise your hand, and I won't be offended if you need to get up and leave the room for whatever reason. So this month we're doing skin tones. I'm actually quite excited about it. I really like drawing skin. Who feels that drawing skin is intimidating? Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna go over some tips and tricks and just kind of look at skin for a bit. So what's wrong with this picture? And the one in front of you. It's all one color. Don't worry, we'll catch you up. So it's all one color, right? Nobody looks like this, right? Nobody's skin is all one color. Let me turn down the lights a little bit.
Well, like on TV it is, like, because they put the foundation on.
Right?
It's kind of like a doll, like.
Yeah, so if they plaster you with foundation, then yes, you are going to look like you're one color. But usually a makeup artist will plaster you with foundation and then add rouge on the cheeks and contouring and blah, blah, blah. Okay, the one on the left, done with one color in different shades. The one on the right, she's added pinks in the cheeks, cooler tones, warmer tones in different areas. So just to show you the difference between one color, lighter and darker, versus multiple colors mixed in with it. Okay. So I'm going to show you a brief video about the color zones of the face, and this is just the starting off point.
You can see how I usually distribute the base colors in my portrait. I place the reddish tones in the middle of the face, where the skin is more thin and blood vessels are more visible. Light usually comes from above, so I place the light warm hues at the top of the face and cool bluish tones at the bottom. Then I like to add different hues as playful transitions between the basic colors. Remember that the values are essential, so if they are correct, even unusual combinations of colors can look good in your painting.
Okay, so quick recap, what is value when we're talking about color? Can you guys remember? I know some of you haven't been here when we talked about value. Who knows what value means when I talk about color?
How light or dark?
Yeah, how light or dark something is, right? So I can use a red, and I can use it very light, and I can use it medium strength, and I can use it full strength. And then if you look at it in black and white, like she does at the end of this video, you'll see that some of the areas are darker and some of the areas are lighter. Pro tip, if you grab your phone and you open your camera and you go to wherever, I have an Android, so I have this little magic wand looking thing on the right here, and then it shows me filters. If you scroll through your filters to the end, you'll probably find a filter that's black and white. And if you use that filter and point your camera at something, it'll show you the values of the thing. Okay? So we don't even have to distinguish value anymore. Our cameras and our phones do it for us. So, okay. So that's a little trick you can use to help you see value better. Let's go back to our presentation. Okay, so let's look at this. It's kind of hard to see because this TV is not the greatest quality, but can you see that obviously this is a digital drawing, right? So this is clearly not a real person, but there's more yellows in the forehead, there's a lot of reds around the cheek area, and there's some cooler tones, some blues in the bottom. Okay, cool. Any questions so far? Anyone's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because she's at the disco. You can clearly tell.
She's clearly at a disco or something. What did you say?
Why is the nose so red?
Why is the nose so red? A lot of artists tend to make noses very red, and some people do have slightly more red on their nose, but I find it distracting. But it is a very common practice for portrait artists to just go red, 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 poof, call it a day. So we'll look a little bit deeper into that. But like she was describing the color zones, usually there's more yellows around the forehead area, also partially because it reflects the light. There's more reds around the cheeks, partially because this is where you tend to get burned. If you're hot or something, you're gonna have reds here. And then the bottom parts of your face will usually reflect what's underneath you. It's also usually more in shadow, so there's a little bit more blue mixed in with it. You can turn to your partner next to you and see if you can see any color zones in their face. Yeah? Okay. So can you also see any areas where the color zones are not matching what we just said?
The what?
Can you see any areas in your partner's face where the color zones are not exactly the way we just talked about?
Well, I'm thinking if you're a brownish skin, where are you going to see reds at?
We are going to get to that in just a second. You're right. It does change a little bit if you have darker skin, if you have browner tones. Darker skin tones the skin tends to be thicker. So there's less of the blood vessels underneath the skin that's visible through the skin. So when you mix the reds in, it tends to just kind of darken the skin instead of making it look more red. I will show you an example. So this is an example of an artist who did it with a dark skin tone. It doesn't really look super natural. It looks a little strange, honestly. Yeah, but I mean, this is obviously it's an exaggeration. And then you'll also see in this image, it's not exactly like this is blue, this is red, this is yellow, right? If you looked at your partner's face, you might have noticed there's some blue right here, right? And you might have seen there's some reds around the ears or in other parts of the face too. We'll get to that too. And then I also just wanted you to be aware that the color zones are true for hands and feet and different parts of the body too. So take a moment, look at your hands, look at the wrist area and your palms, and just, like I said, it's going to be different for different skin tones, but just notice the variations in tones on your palms and on your wrist. The skin on the wrist tends to be a little bit thinner. So you should be able to see more of the blood vessels underneath the skin, whether that makes your skin more blue or more red or more purple or more green even, is going to depend on your particular skin tone and constitution. You might also notice that I have more reds around the calloused parts of my hands, but then if I look really closely, like the really calloused parts are yellow. I don't smoke, by the way, I just have yellow spots on my hands. So just notice the different tones in your skin. Okay, this is a little bit more of an accurate depiction of what, obviously exaggerated, but what the color zones look like. Okay, so yes, there's some more yellows around. He looks angry too. So, and if you're angry, right, if you're frowning, if you pinch the skin together in a place and see what happens. Like if you make your hands into fists, right? You're cutting off circulation to your knuckles. You'll notice that they get more yellow, right? So anywhere where you're cutting circulation off, you'll get more of a yellow tone, right? Your blues and your reds go away for a minute. So he's frowning, so obviously there's a lot of yellow around his eyebrows. This part of the cheeks, according to this artist, reflects some of the light, so they've decided to show that it's yellow. They actually added the blue underneath the eyes, and then he added some reds and stuff. And then sometimes you'll see there's a little yellow down here too. But it's not a hard and fast rule. It's gonna be different for every person. This is just kind of, if you're drawing people out of your imagination, and you don't know what the person looks like, if you want to make the person look more lifelike, then adding color zones is a good way to do that. And I'll demonstrate that to you in a second. But let's look at these three examples. Where can you guys see reds in her face? The little girl on the left.
Her cheeks, lips.
Yep, her cheeks, her lips.
And
Above her eyes, yeah, that's a common area where we often see reds. Again, look at your partner and see if you notice reds in any of those areas. Okay. Underneath her eyes, she has reds too. Why do you think she might have red underneath her eyes? What does that picture make you think when you look at her?
She's crying.
Yeah, she looks like she's tired, or she was crying, or she's upset, and there's red under her eyes because of that reason. So obviously emotions will also affect the tones of your skin and the colors. How about this dude over here? Where do you see blues in his skin?
Yeah.
In his eyes?
So it looks like from left to right, there's light coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the right, the opposite side of the light, the nose, you can tell there's some blues.
Bingo. Yeah. So that's another thing, right? Your light source isn't always from above. So yes, maybe you'll have more yellows in your forehead if you're underneath the sun. But if the light's shining from this side, probably this side of your face will reflect more yellows, and this side will be cooler tones, more blues. Does everybody understand what I mean when I say cooler tones and warmer tones? Is there anyone who doesn't understand what that means? Cool colors and warm colors. Okay. And then, go away. Technology. And then let's look at Afghan girl. Do you see any colors in her face aside from red, blue, yellow, and skin tone? Brown, okay, sure. Brown is a skin tone though. What do you see on this cheek over here? Is it shadow though? What color is it?
Kind of gray.
Kind of gray.
Greenish gray.
Green. I see green there. Where do you think this green comes from? There's blue.
The background.
There's blue over here on this little girl on the left. Where's that blue coming from? Her shirt, right? So your skin also picks up the colors of the environment around you, right? So it's not just peach. Okay. And I said nobody's skin is this color. Clearly I lied, because his is. And then that's just it's really hard to find pictures of people with no makeup on the internet, by the way. But I found this little boy, and there they show all the variations of skin tone. So does anyone want to venture to guess how you would, let's say you use as a base color, you use this color, right? How would you mix this color underneath it? How could you make it that color?
Like a grayish.
Yeah, so if I took this color and I wanted to get to this color, what could I mix with this color to get that one? From here to here.
It'd have to be like a darker color.
Darker brown, right? That would be a good one. That's probably what I would go with because it looks like the easiest one. How about if I wanted to get to this color from this, to this color from this color, what would I mix in with that?
The
Blue, it looks like.
I would mix in blue.
colors.
Yeah, I'd mix in some blue, maybe some red, maybe even some white. How about if I wanted to get to, let's say, this color from here? What would I mix in with this color to get that color? Red, right? Probably a little bit of white too. How about this one over here? If I wanted to get from that to this.
Brown.
You could mix in some reddish brown maybe, or a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white. So just some things to think about. Okay, let's look at some artists that draw skin tones in ways that are interesting. What do you think of this? He works with, he's a Korean artist. I hope I'm saying his name right, Wanjin Kim. He works with colored pencils. So, and he obviously uses the color zones. He obviously exaggerates his colors. Do you guys have feelings on this? Do you want to give me some thoughts, some opinions?
These people are very skinny.
Yeah.
He's Korean, okay?
It's colorful.
Very colorful. Does it look unrealistic?
No.
No, right? You look at that and you go, yeah, I believe that, right? So he obviously exaggerates the colors, but they still come together and form something that you look at it and you go, yeah, that's skin. Obviously, that's skin. Okay.
Would
So
bring the bones out more. The colours.
yes, yeah, he draws every little nub and corner and veins. There's like veins that you can see, and yeah. So it depends on why you're drawing. If you're drawing the warts and all approach, or if you're drawing like perfection, trying to make it an ideal world, right?
Yeah.
There's different reasons, and I'm not going to tell you why you should do art. I personally enjoy capturing reality in all its beautiful, ugly glory, but that's not for everyone. Some people just want to capture beautiful scenes, and that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. This is a really cool and interesting project. This is an artist, Angelica Das. She is from that country at the southern tip of the Americas.
Argentina.
Thank you, that one. I know where it is, I just can't remember the name. Okay, so yeah, she's from Argentina, and she started the Humane project. And her whole thing is she wants to capture every possible combination of skin tone that exists in the world. So far she has documented, I think, over 4,000 different skin tones. So she goes around the world, she gets volunteers to sit for her, she takes a picture of them in front of a green screen from the shoulders up, with no clothes, they can wear makeup if they want to. And then she takes a patch of their skin, she blurs it, she picks that color out, and then she matches it to a Pantone color.
What's a Pantone?
So Pantone is a company that makes paint, and they have developed a universal standard color coding system that is used globally. So if I'm a graphic designer in South Africa and I want to let my sister in America know exactly what color the fabric is that I bought for her for a dress, I can give her a Pantone color and she can look it up and she will know exactly what it is. It's not like if I take a picture of the color and send it to you, who knows what your phone settings are at, you know? So you can communicate universally, and I don't have to say it's peach. Right, I can say it is Pantone 97-7C, right? And then you know exactly what shade of peach I mean. So anyway, so that's what she's doing, and she's kind of argumenting against the existence of race by saying if there's so much variation within individual variation within race, does it even really exist? Like, why are we even using these arbitrary classifications? So this is just some interesting skin tone related art.
How does she choose the color?
So she takes a picture of the person, she takes a section of skin.
So how does she select that section?
She just takes an 11 by 11 pixel section of their skin. That's like a neutral color. And then she applies like a Gaussian blur to it on a digital app. So then I can show you in a minute when I connect to the...
Average.
Yeah, so she averages the color, sticks them in front of the background. But it's kind of...
It looks like it worked.
Yeah.
It's a little arbitrary unless you have like a method.
Yeah, the method's really interesting. But it's like if you go look up the Humane project, just the crazy range of colors is just really cool to see. Like this guy, like you would never have looked at this color and gone, that's somebody's skin tone, right? But it is. You know, just it's pretty neat. I wouldn't have looked at that color and gone, yeah, that's a skin tone. So, or even this one down here, like, no, that's gray. But it's this lady's skin tone. Okay, and then this is somebody, I can't figure out what her full name is, but she just goes by Jenna Portrait Artist. She also exaggerates the effects of light and shadow on her subjects' skin tones, and she draws it with pencil and kind of comes up with interesting combinations. The way that she gets this to look realistic, who can guess why this looks realistic and not like, what are you doing, lady?
Layers.
Layers, sort of.
The light angle.
The light angle,
Shadows.
shadows, the
Tires.
tone.
Tones.
We talked about tone, remember? The tones, right? So yeah, so she's got light colors where the subject's skin reflects a lot of light. She's got, if you turn this black and white, it would just look like a black and white pencil drawing, right? So, okay, let's look at some swatches. So now I connect this. To this. It's coming. It's just slow. How do you like my little Android man? Creepy Android man. Okay. So this is all done with one color, just with different tones of the same color. But let's make him a real boy. All I did was add the skin, the color zones. Thank you. So I just added some reds, blues, and yellows. So this entire layer is just red, blues, and yellows. So I take the reds, blues, and yellows away, and he looks like a creepy, creepy android that you don't want to meet in a futuristic movie again. Okay?
Looks really good.
Thank you. It was a quick drawing just to demonstrate this to you guys. Okay, let's look at some skin tones. So the fun, awesome thing about Procreate is you can pick a color and set it down next to the portrait. You can grab that color. So how about that one? That's blue. What other colors do you guys see in her skin?
White.
White, let's see. Right, there's like a spot. It's not quite white, but yes, there's a very light, it's actually like a very light purple almost.
Pink.
Her forehead,
Way up high, yeah.
like there.
Oh.
Kind of great.
Yeah, it's kind of like a grayish. She's got a very desaturated skin tone. She's a redhead, so she's got very light skin. Check here by her ears. It's almost another gray. So the way you get this gray is not black and white. It's skin tone plus the opposite of whatever skin tone is, which is blue usually, and white. We'll talk again about complementary colors in just a second. Let's look at this guy.
He's got piercing blue eyes.
He's got beautiful piercing blue eyes. So that's like a purple.
Yeah.
That there is a pretty bright orange, red, brick red. There's a pretty bright, like dark yellow. It's almost like a burnt sienna. Can you see that color?
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, it's like it's a very, we can actually look at the color wheel. So the color wheel on the, over here, it shows you what the hue is, and then this tells you, so saturation means it's bright, there's a lot of color in it. Desaturation means there's less color. And then darker and lighter, so this would be pure white, this would be pure black, and this would be the pure magenta over there. So that shows you where on the color wheel this color is. So let's look at this one. Come on. Nope. Let's redo that. So let's look at the color wheel on that one. So now the thing moved all the way up here to the orange, and it's like a medium saturation, medium darkness of the color. Okay?
What program are you using?
This is Procreate. This is courtesy of the county. Does anyone want to have a go at this? Anyone? The tip of his nose. Okay, so that was one of the spots underneath his eyes. The tip of, you're still looking for pure white.
I was just gonna say his eyes.
We can do his eyes in just a second. That is almost pure white. I'll put it down here, but it's not quite. But whoa, that's like a lilac. That's kind of cool. Okay, and these eyes, you want to see the color blue of his eyes. So that's like one of the lighter colors of his eyes. That's the ring around his iris. It's like a dark teal. And let's see, there's also some kind of grayish green in his eyes. Anything else? Check this out. The mole is blue. Okay. Anyone else want me to pick anything else specific out from this? This is another example of how his skin tone, I'm going to guess if we take this purple head wrap off him, his skin tone is more along the lines of this, this one. I think that's his, if we put him in front of a Pantone card, that would be his skin tone. That's his average skin tone, I think. But the influence of this purple headscarf, head wrap thing, is what's really giving him all these beautiful shades of purple in his skin.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Also, again, darker skin tones tend to reflect colors around them more than lighter skin tones. So something to be aware of. Okay, which other one should I do? I'm going to do one more. The girl? With the green?
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at her. So there's the color that's on her top of her forehead, which is like a kind of a strange mauve pink. There's this color on the outside of her forehead. She is cute. So that one is on the color wheel over here. So it's between orange and red, and it's a darker, slightly medium desaturated version. Let's go back to this one and look where that is on the color wheel. So this one is almost into the purple side of the red, and it's just very desaturated. It's very light. There's not a lot of the color in it anymore. So to get this color, we would use this kind of purplish red, and we'd mix a lot of white into it and a little bit of whatever is across from this red on the color wheel. Okay? So let's look at another one. The spot, let's look at this side of her nose. So this color is solid orange, and it's lighter, but it's not, it's like on the top side of the, I don't know what you call this thing in the middle. So we don't have a whole lot of blue, which is the opposite color, mixed in with it because it sticks to this side, but it has a lot of white mixed into it. So it's kind of that orange mixed with white. Okay, what else? Where else should I? Let's pick underneath her eyes. I think that's kind of similar to the first color I picked up on her forehead. Let's see. Yeah, that's orangish red. This one has some of the opposite color, the blue opposite it, mixed in with it because it's closer to this bottom half of the sphere, and it's got a lot of white mixed in. Does anyone not understand this what I'm explaining now?
I don't quite get how the color wheel, how you judge colors according to the color wheel.
Okay, we're going to talk more about the color wheel in a second. I have more of this, and we're going to also do it practically, and we're going to do it on our papers in just a second. So, do you know anything about the color wheel? Have you ever heard of the color wheel before?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it the program that you're not fully understanding? Is it the program that's confusing or the color wheel?
No, you say, well, this color is here on the color wheel. Well, how do you know that?
Okay, can you see from back there, the circle is here?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a reddish orange, and then this is the actual shade that we're working with, right? So if I move this, I'm on the I'm touching the wrong screen. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. So if I move this thing in the middle around, I can get different shades. This is still the same color, right? I can move this down here. It's still the same color, just with more black or white or opposite color mixed in with it. So if I move, so I'm here, so that's the, this is called the hue. So the pure color, when we don't mix anything in with it, is this red. If I mix a whole lot of the opposite color into it, I get that, which is almost pure black. If I mix a little bit of white in, I get that. Does it make a little bit more sense now? Yeah, it's a slightly different way of understanding color. It's a digital way to understand color. This is kind of how computers deal with color. It's not necessarily how we think about color, but I'll show you a more practical version of this for our purposes. Okay, anywhere else on this? Let's see the corners of her mouth. Bluish purple, and she's not wearing a purple headscarf. So, and then there's some of that almost same color over here in the corners of her eyes.
I'm curious as to know, like, her eye color, wants to tell me that it's the same color as the scarf, her head scarf?
There's the lightest color in her eyes. It's like almost like a, yeah, it's like a hazel lion eye kind of color. And then there's some chestnut flecks. And let's see, this is like an old gold color almost. Okay. Okay, I think we've done enough of that. Let's go back to this.
Yeah, let's all take out our tablet.
Fill out a comment card and let the county commissioners know, because it's something we would like to do. And that's kind of the hopeful intention with this for the future. Okay, so courtesy of whatever makeup company that is, we've got a skin color wheel. So I'm guessing the idea is here that they started with the base color of green and then mixed the opposite color of red to get this color. And then they added white to get that color. And then they, I guess, added a little bit more green to get this color. Started with the base color of orange, mixed in the opposite color, which is cyan. Got that color. Obviously, you only mix in a little bit of cyan to get this color. Mix in some white, and then maybe mixed in a little bit more of the original orange to get the darker version. So I'm going to leave this on the screen. Now, the next thing we're going to do, since you understand color zones a little bit better, you can grab other colors and add some more color to your image that you have in front of you there. So if you were using pastels, you're going to just layer on top of the layer of pastels that you already had very lightly and blend it in. If you're using pencils, I will grab more pencils so that everybody can have their own box. We have enough.